Hello everyone, welcome back to Rank Talks Ball. I wanted to record something quick for you guys because Argentina last night won the Copa America once again, back-to-back champions of the Copa America of the South American continent, and also this coming after obviously the World Cup win in 2022. This has now become a dynasty under the coaching of Lionel Scaloni, and it's just been an amazing work for everyone involved in the national team from the bottom to the top. It's been fantastic what this team has been able to do, and I just wanted to share a few thoughts because it's not normal that this happens. These are things that I will very rarely get to experience. Out of 16 teams that walked into the Copa America, only one was able to be crowned the champion, and it happened to be us again. And it didn't happen because of luck or anything. It's because of the amazing job that we have put in and the work that everyone in the national team has put up, and it's just been great to see. And like I said, it's not common for these things to happen. It's very uncommon for a team to win a trophy. Most teams lose trophies. It's only one team after an entire season or after an entire tournament comes up victorious. So winning a single trophy is already a massive achievement. Now winning three major trophies all in a row, it's just an insane achievement, and I want to be thankful to everyone in the national team for what they've achieved, because after growing up as an Argentinian and as a fan of the national team, it was very tough. The first World Cup that I remember was 2010. We were eliminated in the quarterfinals against Germany 4-0. It was a very heavy defeat, a very tough pill to swallow. And after that, it was just heartbreak after heartbreak. World Cup final in 2014, and then two back-to-back Copa America finals in 2015 and 2016. It's been a very tough road being a fan of the national team here in Argentina, and it took a while before we could actually celebrate something, before we could actually smile and celebrate together, and we did it then in 2021, and then the streak has just continued, and it's been an insane journey so far. I don't want it to end, but I know that eventually it's going to come a time where we're going to lose, because it's obvious that you cannot win forever. At some point we're going to lose again, and so I want to relish on this moment now where we are still on top of South America and still on top of the world, the best national team. And I just want to be thankful for that and be happy and celebrate these moments while they're here. Before I get into my thoughts into the game, and I also want to thank everyone who joined the live stream yesterday. It was by far the most successful live stream that I've done in the channel. It's not like I've done many, but it's still amazing how many people turn up, how many people liked the stream, how many people became members, send their super chats, which is something new obviously in the channel. It has been just amazing, this journey that we've done together after this Copa America. The growth of the channel has been insane. So to everyone who watched that stream yesterday and to everyone who is watching right now, I want to thank you so much for your support in the channel and how much it's been growing over the last few months. It's been insane, and I only hope that for now we can only keep improving, and that this channel continues growing, because it's my dream. It's one I want to do for a living, and we're closer to that thanks to you guys' support. So thank you so much again for that. Now, speaking a bit more about the game, I want to give a massive shout out to all of the Colombians out there and the Colombian national team, because I think that they played a brilliant game. It just wasn't meant to be. I think that we were the better team overall, if you look at the whole 120 minutes, but I think that Colombia really threatened us during that game, especially in the first half. I think that during the first half, those first 45 minutes, Colombia were the better team. They created more chances. They had a chance from John Cordova, who hit the post. Santi Arias was having a lot of space on that right hand side, and maybe if instead of Santiago Arias had it been Daniel Muñoz getting all that space, I feel like maybe Colombia would have had an extra edge from that side. But Munoz was obviously suspended after his red card against Uruguay, so that was unfortunate for them. Santiago Arias still was posing like a lot of issues for Argentina on that side. We really struggled to create much of anything in that first half, even though I thought our midfield was doing a lot better. I thought that the ball was once again being our best midfielder. Parenzo and McAllister were doing their thing as well. It just wasn't enough, it seemed. Going forward, we really didn't have much of anything. Di Maria was having a decent game. Messi was struggling a bit, especially after he picked up that injury, which in the second half would end up taking him out of the game. We weren't able to find Julian Alvarez in good positions, and so in that first half you could tell that we were really struggling, and it was no surprise. I was expecting it to be a very tough game, considering how we hadn't really been performing that well coming into the final and how well Colombia had been playing. They were on a 28-game unbeaten run for a reason, because they've been playing some fantastic football. They've been super consistent, and they were just having a really, really good game. Richard Rios in the midfield, like this guy, it's not only that I have an agenda. Richard Rios is just genuinely so insanely talented. It's crazy. There are rumors that he may go to Fulham or to other places in Europe, and it wouldn't surprise me with the job that he's doing, not only for the national team in Colombia, but also for Palmeiras at club level. I feel like he would be an amazing addition for any midfield, because he does everything that you would expect from a midfielder. Richard Rios does it, and in such a stylish and precise way. He's so quick, he's so physical, his technical ability, his intuition of the game is just so good. So Richard Rios was having a great final, in my opinion. Jefferson Lerma was also doing a lot of work in that midfield. We didn't see the best of James, and we didn't see the best of Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz, who I thought was going to be one of the main threats for Colombia in this game, was getting pocketed by Montiel basically, and was finding it very difficult to try and dribble inside. He was trying to cut inside a lot, and he wasn't causing many issues. He played back most of the passes that he played, so it really wasn't the best game from Luis Diaz from that perspective, and I think that really hampered Colombia's offense and what they could create going forward. So it was just an unfortunate situation for Colombia, you could say, but in the end I think that Argentina defended pretty well in that first half, and slowly we began growing into the game, especially in the second half. I hate to say this, but we probably looked better once Messi came off the pitch. With Messi, if you take him off the pitch, you are losing probably your biggest attacking threat, and that is obviously massive. But in Nico Gonzalez, you are gaining another player who can trail back and do a bit more defensive work that Messi doesn't do, and I feel like that was probably very, very important to shutting down any chances that Colombia may have had, because Colombia started like dying down and gassing out over the course of the second half. You could tell that they really weren't up to it physically, and that Argentina had more strength during the last few minutes of the game. And I think that the defensive work that Nico Gonzalez and other players who ended up coming off the bench did was just amazing. There weren't, like I said, it was a very cagey final. It was pretty intense. It was very intense. There was a lot of fouls. It was very physical. The referee, it was a bit hit or miss. I feel like we probably got away with some fouls that we shouldn't have gotten away with. We should have a few more yellow cards for both teams, to be fair, but I think that we got away with it more unscathed. I feel like the ref was just not on his day on that department. But on the controversies, I don't think that there was a penalty on John Cordova from Alexis McAllister. I think that Cordova pretty much steps on the ball and slips on himself, and McAllister gets the ball. He doesn't try to make contact, even though he ends up touching the leg of John Cordova. I don't think that can be a penalty. They were appealing for one at the end of extra time as well, but I don't think it's a penalty either. And my counter argument would be that they didn't even check VAR after a header from Alexis McAllister hit the hand of one of the Colombian players, and they didn't even check it. So either way, I think that it was the right decision to not award any of those penalties. I feel like they were all pretty harsh calls, and it would have been disingenuous to how the game was flowing. So I think that I agree with those decisions. So overall, the referee was a lot more decent than the average that we've seen during this Copa America, so I have no complaints there. Obviously, Colombians are going to be very mad about that. Many Colombians feel like they've gotten robbed in this final. Everyone complains against Argentina, try to diminish our achievements and just try to find anything to prove that Argentina somehow has an edge on FIFA, on CONMEBOL, and that we rig all this stuff to make us win. It was not the best refereeing I've ever seen, but I think that it was okay, and especially in the crucial moments of the game, he made the right decisions, in my opinion. So I personally don't see why Colombians are trying to play into this card that they were robbed in this game, but I can understand from a feeling of frustration trying to find something and play a blame game on someone else to try and deflect away from what you could have done better in the game. And Colombia could have done better, I think, especially in the second half and during extra time. Like I said, it seemed like they gassed out, and I also didn't like the substitutions from Néstor Lorenzo, bringing in Rafael Santos Borré for John Córdoba, even though John Córdoba was on a yellow. Rafael Santos Borré is just not that guy. He's not that striker. I would have preferred seeing someone like Jasper Asprilla, John Duran, or Miguel Borja if I was Colombian. Rafael Santos Borré was probably the last striker I would have liked to see on that pitch if I was Colombian. And then taking out Richard Rios, taking out Jefferson Lerma, taking out James Rodriguez for players like Carrascal, for Kevin Castaño, for Mateus Uribe, it was just not it. I think that the substitutions from Néstor Lorenzo were very, very poor on the day, and he needs to take accountability for it. And on the other side, the substitutions from Scaloni were perfect. First, I think that bringing in Nico Gonzalez for Messi, obviously he didn't want to sub out Messi, but because Messi had to be subbed out, I think that Nico Gonzalez was the right choice and he had a positive impact on the game. And after that, at the start of extra time, I believe, was when the subs were made. Giovanni Lo Celso, Leandro Paredes, and Lautaro Martinez coming into the pitch, and those three players end up all collaborating into the final goal. Leandro Paredes recovering the ball, playing it to Lautaro, who holds up onto the ball, plays it back again for Paredes. Paredes finds Lo Celso, and Lo Celso first touch to Lautaro on the space, running in behind. Lautaro faces Vargas one-on-one and fires a shot. His finish wasn't that good, and it ended up like kind of slipping in between the hands and the face of Vargas. I feel like Vargas could have done better on that, but it was a great goal nonetheless, an amazing play, and Lautaro having another amazing moment in this Copa America and a bit of a redemption arc after the pretty underwhelming World Cup that he had. I wouldn't say it was a terrible World Cup. He was the player with the most goals under Scaloni. We were expecting a lot more from Lautaro Martinez in the World Cup, and the fact that he didn't have a single goal contribution, I guess, it was pretty underwhelming for him. Obviously, he was playing with an injury. It was a pretty tough moment for him, seeing Julian Alvarez kind of take his spot. But in this national team, everyone is a family, and everyone accepts that if they're not performing well, someone else is gonna come up and try to do better. So, and Lautaro understood that his place was the bench because Julian Alvarez was performing to a higher level. But in this Copa America, we saw Lautaro rise up to the occasion again. A guy who I've always rated and I've always supported, even through his bad times, both at club and international level. I think that it's amazing that Lautaro got that goal to get us our second Copa America in 3 years and our third trophy, I guess fourth if you count La Finalissima, in such a short period of time. It's been an amazing run by the national team, an insane dynasty that has been cemented with this team, and everyone deserves their praises, like from the staff of the national team, not only Lionel Scaloni, but everyone who is around them, Samuel, Aymar, Ayala, all of the other players, like the ones who train the goalkeepers. Emiliano Martinez deserves a lot of praise, obviously with his amazing saves in the final and against Canada, and then with the penalty saves against Ecuador. It was just an amazing tournament, and deservedly he won the Golden Globe again. Emiliano Martinez showing why he's one of the best in the world as a goalkeeper right now. and why he deserves all of this that is happening to him after the very tough career that he had at club level until he was like 28 years old, being loaned out everywhere. And when he finally got his chance, he took it, and now he is living the best moment of his career by far, and I hope that it continues to be that way for more years to come with the national team now. The defense, it was amazing this tournament. We only conceded a single goal, which was a 94th minute equalizer from Ecuador in the quarterfinals. That was the only goal that we conceded this entire Copa America, and a lot of that comes off the back of Lisandro Martinez and Cristian Romero, who were an amazing performance from both of them in this Copa America. An absolute wall there in the back line. Just the fact that Dibu Martinez, I'm saying that he did a fantastic job, but he didn't even face that many shots thanks to how much Licha and Cuti defended during this Copa America. It was amazing to see. And yeah, those two deserve a lot of praise. Nicolás Tagliafico had probably one of the most underrated players in this entire national team. He was defensively super solid, and going forward he was still creating problems for the opposition. I think that he is heads and shoulders above Acuna at this point. I think that the left back debate shouldn't be held anymore. Tagliafico is the number one choice by far, I think, at this point, with how he's performing these crucial games, and against very tough opposition he's showing his quality once again as a left back. And then on the right back, I think that both Molina and Montiel had good and bad moments, but overall those were very positive performances as well. Rodrigo de Paul, the best midfielder at this Copa America, once again showing why he is always starting for the national team, why he is a crucial part to Scaloni's system with his work rate. And still, even though many people say, oh, he's just someone who runs a lot, who covers a lot of space, who presses, who recovers balls, he has like 5 lungs or something, he never stops running, he never gasses out. Even though he's been running for 120 minutes, he's still going. But it's not only that, but also his technical ability is so good. His technical ability is comparable to those of McAllister and Enzo, who are beside him. We saw that when he put in that pass for Julian Alvarez in the semi-final, just how good he also is on the ball. It's not only someone who does job off the ball. On the ball is also incredibly well. That is a bit of a tongue twister. On the ball. Anyway, amazing tournament once again by him. Enzo and McAllister exchanged good and bad moments, but I think that when it counted, the guys performed. And once again, these are two pieces in the midfield that cannot be understated how valuable their efforts are. And obviously the people coming off the bench like Paredes, like Lo Celso, their contributions are also incredible. Also in the defense, Otamendi, even though he is, in my opinion, to blame for that only goal that we conceded against Ecuador, also like very solid contributions coming off the bench overall. And obviously scoring the winning penalty against Ecuador is something that we won't forget when he ends up retiring for the national team, which as we saw in the celebrations for the trophy, I don't think we're going to have much of Otamendi left, but still Cristian Romero and Lisandro Martinez are going to replace him very well, as they already are after this Copa America. And then moving on to the attack, I mean, Nico Gonzalez, I have to give the guy praise, because he is a guy that I didn't rate much coming into this Copa America, and he had very good cameos against Chile, against Ecuador, against Canada, and now in this final he's really made a name for himself. And I think that he's shown that he's actually a valuable piece of this national team, either as a starter or coming off the bench. I think that now that Di Maria is gone, Nico Gonzalez is going to get a lot more minutes than he already was with the national team, and showing that he's actually very valuable to Scaloni and how he likes to play. Both offensively and defensively, Nico Gonzalez can offer you a ton. So yeah, very happy with his performance as well. Obviously, we need to touch upon Angel Di Maria, who I briefly mentioned before, because this was his final game for the national team. 145 games in total, the third most out of any player in the national team, only behind Messi and Mascherano. What an amazing run it's been for Di Maria, someone who has suffered through the good and the bad of the national team. like I said, first with those first years, like on 2010 and 2014, and those finals lost, he was there through it all. He was criticized, he was heavily punished for some of his performances, and he got his own redemption arc in 2021 and then in 2022 as well, showing up and being extremely clutch for the national team, getting goals in finals, in the Olympics, in the Copa America, in the Finalissima, and in the World Cup final. Obviously he didn't get a goal in this final, not even a goal contribution, but it was still incredibly invaluable to the success of the national team. Even though he didn't have like his best Copa America, it was still a good performance, especially in the final, and a good send-off for him after all of his years and all of his effort. I think that it's amazing all of that Di Maria has done for the national team, and I will be forever be thankful to him. And he has retired from the national team as one of the legends of the Argentine game, and I think that when to the next generations, I'm gonna tell them the amazing player that Di Maria was, and the partner in crime for Lionel Messi in all of those battles, and to bring all of that success to Argentina. It was just incredible. Both of the strikers, Julián Álvarez and Lautaro Martínez, having very positive signs. A lot of the spotlight is going to be on Lautaro, but Julián Álvarez also a very positive tournament for him, even though we probably would have expected more goal scoring wise. I think that he did score some important goals, like against Canada, like against Canada in both games actually, which was kind of crazy. But also like his contributions off the ball are always so important. His pressing, his link-up play, things that I always try to highlight about Julián Álvarez, and why he is a starter ahead of Lautaro is just everything that he does off the ball is just so important in the early phases of the game for Argentina. And I think that is the reason why he starts. But it was still a positive tournament for him, but the star of the show was Lautaro Martínez, getting the Golden Boot with 5 goals in 6 games. But he didn't appear he appeared in all of the games, but in 4 of those games he was coming off the bench. I believe that only against Peru and against Ecuador he started, and against Peru he scored a brace. Against Ecuador he couldn't find the back of the net, unluckily. But in every other game he made an appearance. In the previous 2 group stage games against Canada and against Chile, he got goals coming off the bench. Chile one being the winner, and now in the final another 5th goal also coming off the bench, and also being the winner of the Copa America for Argentina there in extra time. It was an amazing goal. So super clutch from Lautaro, and an amazing redemption arc. And we'll see where he ranks in the Ballon d'Or after having his best season ever at Inter, being top goal scorer, best Serie A player, and the obviously winner of the Scudetti, and now also winner of the Golden Boot and of the Copa America, scoring the winning goal in the final. I feel like that is gonna rank allow Lautaro to rank very highly in the Ballon d'Or, hopefully, and he deserves it. He deserves all the praise after all the tough moments that he had to endure. I think that he deserves to have this moment. And then finally, a discussion on Lionel Messi, who is my absolute hero, and the guy who I admire the most in this sport and in life in general. I think that I grew up watching his career, and it's been an insane journey again after so long where he couldn't win a trophy with the national team, despite doing everything in his power to get it, and all the heartbreak, all the criticism, retiring from the national team after losing that final in 2016, coming back. It's just been an insane journey for Messi, and seeing him like this after coming off injured, it just was heartbreaking, but also speaks a lot to Messi's character, that he has nothing else to prove. He's already won absolutely everything, both at club and international level. He has nothing to prove to any Argentinian either. Like, he has won the Copa America, he has won the World Cup, he was the best player in both of those tournaments. Not saying that he carried Argentina, all of the other players played a major role in that, and they deserve their praise as well. But Messi was the best player for both of those conquests, and despite that, he still felt like, I don't know if he owed Argentinians, but he definitely felt like he wanted to do more, and he was so sad coming off that pitch, not allowing to contribute more to the team and help the team win another trophy. He was just devastated by not being able to do anything else. And I think it speaks a lot of his character and his competitive nature, that he wanted to win this so bad, and not being able to do anything about it after coming off the pitch just destroyed him emotionally. Despite the fact that he's already won a Copa America and he's won a World Cup and he was the best player at both of them. I think that it speaks volumes to Messi's character and why he's such a great leader. Yeah, just how everyone wants to fight for him. So it was just an amazing team effort in this Copa America, more than ever, when Messi didn't have his best tournament because of fitness issues. The rest of the team stepped up. That also brings a positive light to the future of the national team without Messi. That's seeing that the national team can cope without Messi. I don't know how we're going to cope without Messi's leadership. Someone is going to have to step up as a leader and as a captain now that Di Maria is gone. Messi is going to be gone soon and Otamendi is going to be gone soon. Someone else is going to have to be the captain. I don't know if it's going to be Emi Martinez, De Paul, Paredes, Cristian Romero or someone like that, Tagliafico maybe. Someone is going to have to step up as a leader and be like that reference point, because no one is going to be as near as an influence and as big as a presence as Lionel Messi in the dressing room. So we're going to have to see how we replace Messi in terms of leadership. Obviously, I'm saying all this, Messi has not retired from the national team. I expect him to continue with the national team a bit more, especially because he wanted to give this moment to Di Maria. This was Di Maria's send-off, so Messi didn't want to take the spotlight by also retiring as well. And I think that Otamendi as well didn't want to retire to give Di Maria that spotlight. I expect Otamendi to retire during qualifier games in the near future. Messi, I don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to do the same thing, if he's going to retire after the Finalissima, if he's going to try and push to make it to the next World Cup, which would be the thing that I would want the most, because I plan to go to that World Cup and I would love to see the very last dance of Messi there in the US. But it's extremely difficult seeing how, he's old. I hate to admit it, but he's still on the ball, the most dangerous player on this team, and he can still contribute a lot of things to the national team. But you can tell that his body is slowly giving up on him, and that it's going to be very hard to continue like this. So it's extremely sad. I'm devastated by it, even though I'm happy that we won another trophy for Messi. It's gonna be very hard saying goodbye to him, because he, like I said, he's my childhood, he's my hero, and I don't want it to be over so soon. It's gonna be a very, very tough time ahead, but like I said, the team stepped up without him, so I think that footballing wise, we're gonna be okay without Messi, because we still have some of the best players on the world in their respective positions in every single line, and we have a lot more talented youngsters coming up the field, the Garnachos, the Carbonis, players like Matias Soule, Valentin Barco, players like this, I think that are going to be instrumental to the future of the national team, and I'm so excited for what's to come and what we can do in the 2026 World Cup, because if we win that next World Cup, I think that we're the best national team in the history of the game at that point, like winning Copa America World Cup, just there is no argument to be had. That would be the ultimate dynasty of international football, and I would love if we could make it happen, but I know that it's incredibly difficult. We're going to have a 48-team World Cup. Everyone is going to be extremely hungry for it, and continuing winning is going to be staying at the top is even tougher than getting to the top. So it's going to be very difficult, but the dream and the aspiration is always there to win another World Cup, and I would love to see it in person, obviously. And now, to send off this video, I wanted to make a quick reaction to my Copa America predictions. I wanted to make this quick in this same video because I don't want to make a separate video reacting to my Copa America predictions, because I feel like predictions reaction are usually better when you don't get much right. But in this Copa America, I actually got most things right. So my predictions were pretty on point this Copa America, so I kind of wanted to react to them on my own. Group A, I had Argentina on top, and obviously we topped the group with 9 points. I think that was pretty obvious, and Peru finished last, even though Peru honestly surprised me with their performances. I think that they performed better than what I expected them. They were just super poor in front of goal, and so they only got those that draw against Chile and then 2 losses to Canada and Argentina, so they finished bottom with 1 point. But their performances honestly were pretty decent, more than what I expected. I predicted Chile to finish second. They ended up coming in third with 2 draws and a loss. They didn't score a single goal as well. I was super disappointed in Chile, especially because, as you'll see later, I predicted them to make the semifinals, and that it ended up not coming to fruition. And instead, Canada finished second. I predicted them to finish third. Canada, in their first ever Copa America appearance, they came out of this group, qualified to the knockouts, and they had a brilliant tournament overall, as we'll get onto later. In this group stage, they played a good game against Argentina, then they barely got the job done against Peru and Chile when both the opposing teams went down to 10 men. So it wasn't like the most convincing performance from Canada, but they got it done, and massive props to them for qualifying from this group and proving me wrong. In Group B, I correctly assessed that Jamaica would finish fourth. They were one of the worst teams at this Copa America, 0 points, only scoring 1 goal, which is their first Copa America goal in history, but it ended up being all for nothing because they lost every other game, and pretty convincingly so. Against Mexico, they had a close game, but you know, it's Mexico. I predicted them to finish third, and they did. Pretty disappointing for Mexico, but they had moments where they could have qualified, they could have scored against Venezuela, they could have made a draw against Venezuela, they could have won against Ecuador, but in the end they ended up getting eliminated for their inaccuracies in front of goal. And then I correctly assessed that Venezuela and Ecuador would be the teams to qualify from this group, but I got them in the wrong order. Venezuela, Vino Tinto surprised everyone, topping this group on 9 points, beating everyone. Against Ecuador and Mexico, maybe they cut it a bit too close, especially against Mexico, where they needed to score a penalty and then save a penalty of their own to win. But it was still an amazing performance from Vino Tinto all around. Mano Tengo Fe was up there like ever before. Players who stepped up like Salomon Rondon and Jose Aramburu, Jose El Brujo Martinez, and these type of players. Romo in goal was fantastic as well, so everyone for Venezuela deserves a lot of praise for this group stage performance. And Ecuador, incredibly underwhelming, just Felix Sanchez trying to play them in a very, very pragmatic way. When Ecuador actually has the quality to play a lot better than this, it was just so disappointing, and they just did the bare minimum to qualify on second place on 4 points. But at least I correctly predicted them to make the quarterfinals, but that should have been like the bare minimum for Ecuador, but that is what they did, and so they came out of this group. So in Group C, I correctly assessed that Bolivia would finish last. I didn't expect them to be this disastrous. They were, in my opinion, by far the worst team in this Copa America. They lost every single game in pretty convincing fashion, but we'll see after the Bielsa allegations that Bolivia didn't have training grounds. Had to suspend training sessions. That was a pretty damning statement to make, because that would prove that Bolivia, I think we all expected Bolivia to lose all their games, but there is a question to be made. If they had been able to train in proper conditions, if maybe they would have put up a better fight in this Copa America, and I think it's pretty clear that they would have, but in the end they got done dirty by the organization of this tournament, which, by the way, I didn't even address, but the organization of this tournament, a complete mess. Both CONMEBOL and the US are to blame, especially the US security forces, after what happened in Colombia against Uruguay, and in the final Colombia against Argentina, which got delayed by an hour and 20 minutes, the kickoff of the game, because of incidents outside the stadium. It was insane how they didn't have a ring of security outside the stadium to not allow anyone without a ticket to get anywhere near the stadium. It was crazy how they didn't have that. And overall, the organization of the tournament, a lot is on CONMEBOL, but that is also to blame on the US security forces and their staff. Also, like the fan culture of the US, not allowing the drums, the trumpets, the flags, all that beautiful stuff from the fans, made the atmosphere at this Copa America a lot more tame than in other Copas America. But then the organization aspect from CONMEBOL, like the pitches were a disgrace. They were installed very, very late, and CONMEBOL didn't look for them. The training grounds, according to Bielsa, they were a disaster as well. And then from an organization point of view, the ticket prices, the parking at the stadiums, everything was so expensive. And then you have to take into account that the US is a massive country, and you had to travel around very different places. And yeah, just a horrible mess, this Copa America. Horrible from CONMEBOL, but also horrible from the US. And this needs to be a wake-up call for them to do a lot better at the next World Cup. in terms of organization, and also in terms of the national team, because I predicted them to finish second in this group. They ended up coming third after losing to both Panama and Uruguay. It was a horrible performance from the team managed by Greg Berhalter, who are not managed by Greg Berhalter anymore. He was fired, and so that was horrible from the first host nation to get eliminated in the group stage of the Copa America. So disgraceful from the United States. And yeah, massive props to Panama, who beat the US. Obviously it was 10-man US because of that stupid red card from Timothy Weah, but it was still an amazing performance from Panama, and then beating Bolivia ended up securing a spot in the quarterfinals. And Uruguay, to no one's surprise, ended up topping this group on 9 points. Pretty convincing performance from Uruguay, but I think we all expected a bit better on that game against the US. But I think that Uruguay were already showing some cracks that ended up coming back later into the tournament. And in Group D, I got this one right in the sense of the teams that qualified. I correctly assessed that Colombia would top the group and that Brazil would come second. Very disappointing performance from Brazil, especially that opening game. 0-0 against Costa Rica was crazy. That was an insane game, but yeah, I correctly predicted that Colombia would be the one to top and Brazil qualifying second. I didn't have Costa Rica finishing third. I had Costa Rica last, and I thought that Costa Rica was going to be the worst team at this Copa America, and they showed up in amazing fashion in this group. First getting that draw against Brazil, like I was mentioning, and then beating Paraguay. Even though Paraguay probably deserved to win that game, it was another brilliant defensive performance from Costa Rica, who are showing a lot of character despite most of their players being extremely young. So Gustavo Alfaro is really cooking up something with Costa Rica, building up to the future. So we'll see if he qualifies. He should qualify to the 2026 World Cup, and if he does qualify, what he can do there. Now that with the format expanded, third place teams can advance, maybe we can see Costa Rica the knockouts of a World Cup. So Gustavo Alfaro definitely building towards that. And it was just the worst Copa America for Paraguay, finishing on 0 points. All of the troubles that we thought Paraguay had were amplified, not only to their goal scoring, but now also to their defense. It was so awful from Paraguay, one of the letdowns of the tournament, because I don't think very few people expected Paraguay to qualify from this group, but just to go out in this embarrassing way, losing all 3 games, was insane. So yeah, Paraguay, amazing letdown, and I had them third. They ended up finishing bottom of this group. Then on to the knockouts. Obviously I had Argentina playing against Venezuela here. It was Argentina against Ecuador in real life, but I did correctly predict Argentina to move on to the semifinals. Obviously, Felix Sanchez got sacked as the Ecuador coach after this. The other game was Chile against Ecuador. Obviously, this game didn't happen. It was instead Venezuela against Canada, and Canada ended up prevailing on penalty kicks. A bit of a sour way to end the tournament for Venezuela, but I still think that Venezuelans can be proud of how they performed in this tournament. And for Canada, a massive win, going all the way to the semifinals in their first Copa America appearance. It's a massive statement and their best performing CONCACAF nation by far in this Copa America, so Canada can be proud of that. On the other side of the bracket, I had originally Colombia against the US. The US didn't qualify, so this game was Colombia against Panama, and Colombia destroyed Panama. Even though Panama had a great run in this Copa America, this was a very tough way to end the tournament for them, and Colombia comfortably advanced to the semifinals like I had predicted. And then I did have this game between Uruguay and Brazil, and I had Uruguay advancing, correctly predicted that, but Uruguay were not convincing at all. That game was a complete battle. It was nothing but football. It was like WWE out there, and Uruguay ended up prevailing on penalties. So yeah, very disappointing for Brazil to exit in this way, because in Brazil you are always expected to do great, and exiting in the quarterfinals in this way, showing just a very lackluster performance offensive wise. It was very disappointing for Brazil. And Uruguay, they were already showing cracks in the midfield. They looked disconnected, and Ronald Araujo getting injured was a huge factor for them later on. And yeah, they ended up advancing from this quarterfinal tie like I predicted, but it wasn't as convincing as I thought it would be. So then in the semifinals, I had Argentina against Chile playing in the rematch of that semifinal, but in the end, Argentina played the other team who ended up qualifying in second place, which was Canada. And I had Argentina advancing to the final, correctly predicted that Argentina beat Canada. Canada still can be extremely proud of how they performed. but they weren't able to make the final. Argentina did, like I predicted. And on the other semi-final, I had Colombia against Uruguay, and I had Colombia advancing to the final over Uruguay, which I think was a surprising pick. I don't know if surprising pick, but I think that the most popular choice for the final was Argentina against Uruguay. I had Colombia beating Uruguay, and they did. It was an amazing defensive display after they got that goal from Jefferson Lerma on the set piece on the first half. Daniel Munoz got sent off, and then with 10 men, Colombia resisted through the entirety of the second half. Uruguay, they were very close, but they never got that equalizer to force penalties. And yeah, Uruguay being eliminated there like I had predicted, and Colombia making the Copa America final. Third place playoffs, I predicted Uruguay to win, and they did, but they didn't beat Chile, they beat Canada. It was still a very tough game. Canada played better during the 90 minutes, in my opinion. Canada, if I had to pick one of the two teams to win, it would have been Canada after that performance. They missed a lot of chances. The worst part about Canada this Copa America was the finishing. Had they finished their chances better, they could have scored goals against Argentina in any of the two games that we played against each other. They could have beaten Venezuela in 90 minutes, in my opinion. They should have won that game before penalties, and they could have won this game against Uruguay to clinch the bronze medal, but it wasn't meant to be. Luis Suarez, in his final game at a Copa America, finds that equalizer, very late equalizer, super clutch, to get Uruguay to the penalty shootout, which they would end up winning to secure bronze like I had predicted. And then the final, I had correctly predicted that it would be Argentina against Colombia, and I had predicted Argentina to win number 16 in the US. So yeah, my predictions were pretty spot on overall, so that is why I wanted to react to them and not make a separate video, just show you that I did amazing because I know a lot about football. That is why Rank Talks Ball, because I know about ball, so I talk about it. That is extremely egotistical, but you know, it is what it is. I think I performed great, and we are just gonna have to wait for the next predictions, which I'm gonna do horrible at, and you will be able to laugh at how bad they aged. But for now, I had amazing predictions, and I predicted this final to happen and Argentina to win back-to-back Copas America, which was my dream and ended up coming through. And yeah, I just shared all of my thoughts with you. I hope that you guys can enjoy this video, which was just, as I said, just giving my quick thoughts and not trying to think much. I don't have a script, just trying to speak to the camera and be real with you about what I'm feeling. It was an amazing day yesterday. Watching the game with you on the watch along, I had a lot of fun, so thank you all so much for that. And yeah, so if you made it all the way to the end, this was like a pretty boring video to watch, I'm sorry, but thank you all so much for watching and for supporting the channel. We'll be back with the Copa Libertadores content. I'm gonna take a bit of a break. I'll try to get some videos ready for you guys to watch in my absence, but again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you all next time. Lloré, eres hombre terminado, en el Maracaná.